91.7 WEEM. Welcome back to WEEM Weekly. My name is Hudson Kistler, and I'm joined by.
Mr. Martin Klipsch.
All right, so I brought you in here today because I wanted to talk to you and learn more about driver's ed.
All right, sounds good to me.
So, just starter, what is driver's ed?
It's a program where we offer classroom and driving for the students. They have 30 hours that they take in the classroom, 6 hours that they take in the car. So they have lecture based, and then they have application based in the car. And we're one of the few high schools around that still has a program. Thanks to the support of our administration, we're able to still keep that program going.
Okay. What are some of the things you can learn in driver's ed?
Oh gosh, just about anything. And I'll tell you what, Pendleton's got a great location for driver education because we have a small town where you're going to get your school zones. You can do parallel parking, controlled intersections, and then the interstate's just a mile away. You get on the interstate and you've got access to that. State Road 67 going into Anderson. You got a divided highway there to do lane changes on. It's just really a perfect area to get everything in, a little bit of everything that you're going to encounter.
All right. What are some big differences between in-class learning and learning behind the wheel?
I'll be honest with you. The in-class is typically a 2.5-hour session, either after school or during the summer, and it's kind of boring. I try and spice it up the best I can with, I have some good videos to show the kids and some guest speakers. But it's 30 hours of, just grinding through it, getting it done. And then in the car, what happens is we have the driver and then there's a passenger. So the passenger gets a little bit of observation time while they're in the back seat. But the classrooms, the lecture based, and then in the car is the hands-on.
Yeah. I assume the hands-on is probably a lot more effective.
Oh yeah.
Especially because, you get to learn from your mistakes a lot more, I feel like.
For sure. If we could, I would love to take that 36 hours total and just make it like cut it in half, 18 and 18, something like that, so that the kids could get a lot more behind the wheel experience. But, we're pretty much self-funded. The fees that the students pays for the teachers and the gas and the insurance and things like that. So the state stopped funding driver education back in the 80s, mid 80s to the late 80s. So it's pretty much been self-funded since then.
Yeah. What are some of the basic skills that many kids can learn easily, and what are some of the hardest?
Easiest ones would be just to get in the car and learn the difference between the brake and the gas, learn how to steer. Those basic skills can go a long way. If they can get a feel for the car itself and how the brakes and the gas react to your foot, that would go a long way.
Yeah. I remember when I got my car and I pressed the brake and like the acceleration at the for the first time, it was definitely a little hard to get used to, especially when you have to kind of regulate how much pressure you're putting on.
Yes.
It is difficult, but it definitely does take practice. I don't doubt those classes definitely help.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. What are some of the most basic mistakes that any kid could kind of encounter while either in class or just on driving?
I was just driving with a kid the other day, and he had a hard time controlling his speed, like you were talking about. And we would be up, if the speed limit was 45, we'd be up around 50, 52, and I'd say, "Hey, watch your speed." Then he'd let off, and then we'd drop down to about 30. So it was kind of, up and down for a while there, but I'd say that's probably the most difficult. That's probably one of the most common things that I see is the speed control. It's tough for the kids to understand. Hey, pretend you've got a balloon under your foot and you don't want to bust it. So that's one of the analogies we use sometimes. So
nice to know it's not just me.
No, it's not. No, that is common.
What are some behind the wheel skills that you make sure to teach and prioritize?
We try and hit a little bit of everything. Like day one of our driving, we stay in Pendleton and we work on city driving. We work on um, uh, controlled intersections with the traffic lights. I would say the big thing that it's probably the hardest for us to teach as an instructor because we're on the right side of the car. If you're at a light and you have a flashing yellow arrow, it confuses the heck out of the kids because they think they can't get in the intersection. And then you've got 27 cars behind you that are going, what are we doing back here?
Yeah.
So that's probably the most dangerous and the hardest to teach because the kids cannot judge speed and distance, just being in the car for an hour or two. It's hard for them to judge that. So getting them through as many of those types of intersections, I'd say that is a focus for us. Those left turns that you have to yield to traffic, they're scary for the kids and they're scary for us. So
Yeah.
we get them through as many as we can.
I can only imagine. I've only really done much practice on like the off road where my house is in like parking lots,
Okay.
simply because it's just open range. I can only imagine the stress of having like 9 cars behind you. It's like traffic. I can only imagine the stress.
And then you've got semis coming through and dump trucks. It can be a little nerve wracking at times.
Yeah. What assessment methods do you use to measure progress within students? Like, what are some signs that, okay, they're doing actually pretty good right now?
Yeah. The main thing we try to do, at least I try to do, is I schedule the kids and the teachers, is I try to keep the kids with the same teacher the entire 6 hours. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't, just due to availability. But that way that instructor can see improvement or not and then talk with the kids. So we have a sheet that we check off every day of things that we have to accomplish. Like I said, day one is you've got to go through a school zone. You're going to go down a one-way street, some controlled intersections and things like. So we have a checklist, and then under that we have strengths and weaknesses, and we let the kids know, hey, you did great today on your speed control or your tracking, or if they didn't do so well on speed, we'll let them know. And we let them look at that sheet every day so they can see what they did good on, what they didn't do so well on.
All right, yeah. And that kind of goes into my next question of how do you help students reflect on their driving progress? I guess kind of, letting them know how well they did, some things like they can work on.
Yeah, just instructor feedback at the end of their drive. We try to let them know, here's what your homework is. We tell the kids every time, you've got homework. Well, what's my homework? We don't even have a book. Well, it's to go home and drive. So get them some time behind the wheel. And, maybe it has to wait till the weekend, but usually like tonight we have a group going out and they won't drive again until next Tuesday. So they're going to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 4 days there to get their driving practice in. And we try to make sure they do that. I communicate with the parents at least once a week, if I can, more if possible, to let them know, here's what's coming up, here's what we need to work on. So, yeah, we give them feedback immediately.
Do any kids ever complain about the homework?
Sometimes, yeah.
I can only, if I was in that class, I know I'd be pretty happy. I'd rather do that than my chemistry homework, I know for sure.
Yeah, me too. And it's funny because I don't know what you'd want to call it, the kids that really want to take driver ed, I think the interest in it has kind of fallen off, over the past. I've been doing this since 98.
Wow.
98, 99, somewhere in there. When Steve Cherry was here with the radio station, he came up to me and approached me and he said, hey, you need to go get your driver ed endorsement. I said, why would I want to do that? He said, well, just trust me. You do that. Go do it. So my first license renewal, I went to IUPUI, got my license to teach, and it's been a nice little extra chunk of money here and there. As opposed to, I've tried coaching, did that for about 5 years. I enjoyed it, but it's just a huge time commitment. And with driver ed, there's still the time commitment, but I feel like with driver ed, I'm making more of an impact in these kids' lives for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They're pretty much going to be driving every day of their life. So I don't know. That's kind of the way I looked at it. But yeah, after I got that endorsement and everything, it it was just, and we're a good group of instructors, and we try and keep that focus on the kids, keeping them safe, let them know, you're driving a deadly weapon,
Yeah.
and keep it in perspective, make them take it seriously. But the interest from the kids is just kind of dropped off a little bit. It's not as I don't know. Kids just don't really want their license anymore like they used to.
Yeah.
But the cell phones, the smartphones, all that's changed things a lot. So it's just it is what it is, and we'll still be here at least for the next 5 or 6 years till I decide to hang it up. So
For any kids wanting to go into driver's ed, is there just like one basic thing just to kind of prep them for it that you want to kind of tell them?
get your permit as soon as you can. There's a lot of kids that'll sign up for driver ed, and they keep forgetting they have to get their permit to drive with us. So that'd be the one thing to kind of put in the back of their minds. Make sure you get that permit.
And then would you be able to inform us on how to sign up for driver's ed real quick?
Yes. I'd contact Dr. P.O. and let him know we've got a session coming up. Can you send out information through Parent Square? Enrollment forms are available either online or here at the school in the attendance office, and parents can either have their kids pick one up at school, print one out at home, send it in. We don't have electronic enrollment yet. I'm still working through the bugs on that, but they can pay online through I'm trying to think, what's the lunch where the parents pay for the kids' lunches. I can't think of what.
Power School?
Yes, through Power School, I think it is. So they can pay online that way, or they can send in cash or check here to the treasurer.
Yeah.
But watch your Parent Square messages. Usually we have 3 sessions a year. We've got one right now. It's our spring session. We'll have one in the summer. We'll have another one in the fall. We have 3 sessions every year, and you just have to be 15 by the time sign-ups start.
Sounds good.
So,
well, thank you for joining me today.
All right.
For WEEM Weekly.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. And we will make sure to catch you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.
I really wish I could listen to 91.7 WEEM right now, but I'm not in my car.
Don't worry, we have an app. Download 91.7 WEEM on Android and iOS.
All you need to do is go to the App Store, type in the search 91.7 WEEM, and then hit download.
It's free. Now you can listen to best hits on your phone.
Brooklyn Schuyler, and today I'm going to be joined by...
I'm Miss Vanetta. I'm our district career coach.
And we're going to be talking about, first of all, specifically what your job is and kind of your responsibilities here as well as in the district. And then we'll go a little bit further into what students can expect from you and kind of how you help students. So to begin, can you kind of describe your role and what exactly that entails?
So back in about, I want to say it was 2023, Indiana released what is called the career coaching law to provide post-secondary readiness services to different schools in Indiana. Pendleton became a recipient, I want to say in 2024, and they introduced a different coach who wasn't me. I have been here since April of 2025, so coming up on my year of being here. And my goal is to provide post-secondary readiness, competencies, and service skills development to grades 6 through 12.
And what specifically does like post-readiness mean? Is that connecting people with colleges? Is it connecting people with careers? Like, what does that look like?
It fully depends on the student. There is college connection that I do, careers, military, whatever the student wants to do after high school, my goal is to help them get there, regardless of what it is.
And is this something that like students are required to meet with a college and career coach, or is it just if they need the help to kind of figure out what they want to do or how to get there?
While it is preferable to meet with every single student, it's not really realistic, but students can choose to come to me for additional help, but I at least try to provide some sort of resource or service to every student regardless. Most students see me once a year, and a select few will see me reoccurring.
And do you have any kind of So your responsibilities here at the high school are kind of to connect people with careers. Is that the same in 6th grade? Does your responsibilities kind of change for younger grades? What does that look like?
My responsibilities change per grade band. So we have 6 through 8 as a grade band, grades 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12. They each have different quote-unquote activities or competencies to meet that I go through and do with each student. But here at Pendleton, we've geared the program to be more, individualized than just meeting the state requirements. So it varies greatly, and each year will build on the next year.
So you've kind of mentioned the state's requirements, and we have our like graduation requirements. This is a part of that, like the 3 buckets that we have to do, sort of graduation requirement, correct?
So most of what I do is actually not a graduation requirement.
Okay.
There is a bit of a difference between a legal requirement for a student and a graduation requirement.
Okay.
Since not every school has a career coach and receives services under the career coaching law, grant, whole sort of thing. So they're not graduation requirements. Some of the things that I do, I oversee our career discovery meetings. Those are legal requirements for juniors and seniors. But if worst case scenario happens, a student can't do one, there are protections in place to where it's not going to harm that student's graduation.
So what does your day-to-day look like? I know before this interview, we kind of mentioned that you go between the middle school and the high school. But can you just show us a little bit of what your day looks like?
Oh my, no day is ever the same. I jump between our schools a lot. I am here at the high school Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I am at the middle school Tuesday, Thursday, but that typically varies. Like 5th period today, I actually have to go to the middle school to work with our 7th grade. So it varies greatly. No day is the same. There are some days that I have a revolving door of students, and some days I am locked in my office working on a project. It varies so much. I don't even know if I could give you a full day today.
So when you are working with those students, are there any kind of resources that you provide to all students or a majority of students that you'd like to mention that can help people out?
There are resources available for all students. A lot of them get posted on class Canvas pages. I've sent out there is resources about graduation plans, scholarships, different ways to connect with employers or community engagement. So those are kind of generally available. Most of them are posted on my bulletin board that is outside of the counseling office. There is also on my door, I believe it is on my door, I hope so, a whole information sheet about who I am and what I provide to each student, as well as a contact form for individualized resources if a student wishes. And then I just keep a whole Google Drive of just resources that I can pull from as a student needs them.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know that is listening and would like to get in contact with you, your room is between Miss Hunkler's and Rhodes, Mr. Edwards, somewhere around there. It's like on that math hallway.
Yes, so my room is between Miss Hart and Mrs. Plovic. It is room 218. There is a QR code contact form posted on my door at all times. It is also on the bulletin board in front of the counseling office. You can scan it. It also has my email on it for any student to contact me for any reason, and our counselors also have my contact information. Perfect. So students have a lot of ways to be able to reach me since I'm not here every day.
Absolutely, and it seems very helpful, especially since I know so many high school students as a graduating senior that are like, I don't really know what I want to do, and I don't know how to get to where I want to be if they do know what to do. So kind of having someone to go to and really rely on to help you through that is super nice, even at such a young age.
Yes, we do start students really, really early. There are some schools that start all the way as soon as kindergarten. We start at 6th grade with career exploration, different ideas, field trips, even for students to be able to explore what they want to do. Because my goal is just to get them to where they want to be. I'm not trying to push college or a specific job or a specific field or the military or anything like that. My goal is purely student success.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. That will be the end of this interview.
Thank you, underwriters.
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 Thank you, underwriters. Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters. Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Thank you, underwriters.
Welcome back to WEEM Weekly. I'm Kelly Auxier, and I'm joined by
Mrs. Boomer.
You are a 9th grade English teacher, as well as the yearbook teacher, correct?
Yeah. Yep, that's me.
So yearbook is a class that you can take, correct?
Yeah. So you can take it. It's always first hour, at least as long as I've been here. And you can take it as a course. It is for a credit. And we do like normal like classwork stuff there.
What goes into making the yearbook?
A lot. So there's different aspects of yearbook. Obviously, the thing that everyone knows about, which is like photography, and then obviously writing the yearbook. But then there's also other pieces of like going to events and pulling students to get quotes so that you can write the yearbook and put the writing into it. There's selling ads for the yearbook. There's deciding on themes for the yearbook. There's this thing at the back of the yearbook that nobody looks at called a colophone or colofan, and that's like all the like technical stuff that goes into the yearbook of like the fonts and the pictures and I mean all of that. So like I feel like there's so much that goes into creating the yearbook.
I take the class and I gotta admit it's really fun.
Yeah.
How do you choose a theme? Because there's a new theme every year.
Yeah.
How does it get chosen?
So I typically will have students get into groups, and we do this pretty early in the year. I try to teach like some basic yearbook stuff and then like yearbook vocab that we're going to kind of use throughout the year. And then I put students in groups. We look at some like past themes. I have them look through old books to look at themes that we've done before, and then they get to decide on a theme in their groups, and then they present those themes to the whole class. Typically, the whole class will then vote on their top 3 favorites, and then the editor, this year's Lucas Graves, and I will get together, talk about what we really like to see in the themes, and we'll typically choose from those top 3 themes that everyone decided on.
Are you allowed to tell us what the theme is?
The theme for this year is Stars in the Making, and that's all I'm going to tell you, but think Hollywood, think movies, think stars in that way.
I really like it.
Yeah.
What's the most challenging part of making the yearbook?
Probably deadlines. I mean, so as I said, you can take it for one semester, or you take it as a class, but you can take it for one semester or you can take it for 2 semesters. The challenge is the first semester, there's not really any deadlines. So there's nothing that has to be turned in as far as like what I'm concerned. So like when I have to like submit things to the company that we make our yearbook through. So when second semester starts, the deadlines start, and that can sometimes be kind of challenging because you have to kind of find pages to be able to submit. And that for me is a challenge for me, like for as far as like my responsibility. But then sometimes I think for the students, the challenge can sometimes just be like the schedule of like, you have to go to events. There's a lot outside of the class, that goes into taking pictures, writing all of the things in the yearbook. So yeah, for me, it's the deadlines. I think for students, it's sometimes the schedule.
What happens if deadlines are missed?
So I actually have asked our yearbook representative from Varsity, which is the company that we go through, because I'm the type of person that I can't miss a deadline. And so I asked her, I was like, just for my own curiosity, what happens if you miss a deadline? And really, it's not that big of a deal if you miss like 1 or 2 pages. Typically, there's like, you have to submit like 40 pages, and then the next deadline is 30 pages, and then the next one is another 40. She has said to me that if you miss like 1 or 2 pages, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're missing like significant chunks of what you're supposed to be submitting, it can sometimes delay the printing, which means then the yearbook is delayed in being delivered, which means it's delayed in being passed out.
How do students contribute to the design decisions?
I mean, almost everything. I mean, a lot of it is up to, I try to leave it up to the editors. But the students who ended up coming up with the theme that we chose for that year, they usually have some like cover themes or cover ideas for the theme. And then whoever the editor is that year will usually kind of fine tune it to try to make it like look really nice. But then sometimes we'll have an editor that or an artist that will come in and meet with the group of editors and I to like discuss like art ideas. Before we've done where the editor totally created the book cover on their own. Before I was here, there was the cover that was created like by another student. Like they did like an artist contest. So there's like lots of different ways that you can do like the art, the cover art, and then the art within the book too.
What tools or software do you guys use?
So you use this software called eDesign. And in eDesign, there's different like tabs that kind of go into the book. There's a way to get into the book to create it, and it's 100% digital. We have like folders for different pictures, but everything is in this program that's called eDesign, which it's a great program. It's really cool to like. It's easy to use. It's cool to see. At the very beginning of the year, I always show my kids that this is the blank yearbook, like these 208 blank pages. This is the yearbook. And at the end of the year, this is going to be full of all of your work and everything that you've created.
What leadership opportunities are available for students taking the class?
So I have lots of different like editor roles, and we've actually created more as the class has gotten bigger. The most obvious one would be editor-in-chief. As I said, Lucas is our editor-in-chief now, but we also have co-editors. Alyssa Wallace right now is my co-editor, but I have other opportunities as well. We have advertising editors. Last year we had a copy editor that would just go through, and their job was to go through all of the writing and to like make sure grammar and spelling and all of those things were okay. But then, I mean, as the years go on, I kind of decide for the different classes, like what editor roles kind of need to be there. And so it kind of changes every year.
So are there roles outside of like leadership roles? Like,
yeah. So I have some students in the class that are like really into photography, and they're like very good at photography. Like right now we have Sammy LeClaire, who is excellent. She does such a good job with photography, and she's also so willing to go out and get pictures and go to events. So like that has kind of become a role for her, but she also still enjoys creating the pages in the book. And so I will still like assign her spreads when she wants them, but she also has the option of she can be like a sole photographer. So she's like in charge of going to events for people to get pictures. I also have had people say that they really like creating the spreads. I know that like you have liked
that's
to
my
do,
favorite part.
So like designing the pages and creating like the templates where all the pictures are going to go. So that's like another aspect that like if you really like that, if you're good at that, I can kind of guide you and let you do that more as a role rather than like creating a whole spread just by yourself.
What are the bases of making a spread? Like obviously there's the making the spread
Mm-hmm.
and there's the taking photos, but like what else goes into just making one spread?
Yeah, so it depends on the spread. So all of our athletic spreads have the same templates, meaning they all like look the same as far as like where the pictures are, what size of pictures we use, where all the captions are. But if a student is creating one like totally from scratch, they'll create their own template where they will put the pictures in where they want to and kind of make them the size that they want to. We are, because of the theme being around stars a little bit, we have like a tool that we've been using where we have pictures that are in the shape of stars, which is really cool. But then, so the pictures go in, and then we create space for captions for students to give us quotes that we can use to then write the caption. So we have the template created, and then a student's going to go to events. They're going to take pictures. They're going to put those pictures into the spread. And then next, they need to start reaching out to students. And so what we do is we send out quote papers. In the past, we've done literal papers that they have to answer with handwriting. But we're trying to move a little bit into like Google Forms and trying to do it digitally just because it's easier. There's less interruptions for the class. And we're hoping that it'll be more like the students will want to respond just because it's easy and on their computer. So we'll send out quote papers, we get them back, and then we use those quotes to then write the captions. We ask questions like, what are you doing in this picture? Who else is in this picture with you? And then we also will ask questions that are theme-based. So, for example, a couple of years ago, we had or last year's book was Forever Evergreen, and we kind of focus on this idea of like growth and like lots of like tree imagery in some of the stuff we did. So one of the questions was, how have you grown this season? Or how did you grow in show choir this year? Or how did you grow throughout practicing for the play every day or rehearsing for the play every day? So we'll always ask like a theme-based question, usually a couple of those, and then we use those answers to create the captions. And then we always try to give photo credit, and then that's kind of it. We'll also like have an editor look at it before I look at it. Once we're all ready to go, I do like one final look through to make sure everything looks good, is reading okay, and then I submit it, and that's it.
I feel like it sounds really simple, but once you like actually get in there, we have like a month for a spread.
Yeah. It differs depending on the spread. We usually will do. I try to do like 3 to 4 week cycles, but sometimes it turns into 5 or 6 week cycles depending on what the sport is, because we want to give like the sport ample time to like have a season. So like we want to be able to cover as much of the season as possible, but sometimes there's not time for that. And so we try to do like 3 or 4 weeks depending on the topic.
The hard part is getting the quotes back.
Yes. And we're hoping that the Google Forms will be helpful, but we'll see if that ends up being the case.
How far in advance do you start planning?
I mean, depending on for theme, it's like we're pretty quickly into theme. I think probably by the 3rd week of school, we're in groups like going over themes. But then after that, there is like just a little bit of time because some like sports or some like pages haven't really started yet. So there's not really a way for us to begin working. So I would say probably the 2nd month of school, maybe even sometimes the 3rd month of school is usually when we actually start making spreads and assigning spreads. Everything before that is more like just prep work and then also delivering or getting the books out from last year.
Yeah. What's the most stressful time of the year, would you say?
For me, end of year, just because, I mean, there's so much that you just have to make sure is done. And usually at the end of the school year, it's the club pictures that we do in like April-ish. It's then all of the senior quotes coming in. It's making sure all of those pages are good, kind of finalizing any last-minute pages that we kind of had left on like the back burner because we didn't have to worry about them. Well, now we have to worry about them because the book is due. So it's all, for me, it's the end of the year just because of all the last-minute stuff. I don't know what it would be. Can you speak on that for like students? What's like the most stressful for you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like winter is pretty slow.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of sports that are going on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a few clubs going on.
Yeah.
But probably very beginning when all the fall sports are starting up or very end.
Yeah. I feel like fall is really busy for us, and then all the spring sports are really busy. There's just so much going on.
Yeah. Well, that is all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
Again, I'm Callie Oxier, and I was joined by
Mrs. Boomer.
We'll see you guys in the next segment or episode.